This is Narratives in Black, and I'm your host, Amanda Shea. In part one, we learned how Stefanie uses photography, movement, and storytelling to center the beauty and complexity of Black and Brown lives. In part two, we explore the heart behind her projects, the healing power of art, and the communities that shape her artistry. Let's continue with Stefanie. It's so powerful. You donned yourself
Kinesthetic storyteller.
Kinesthetic storyteller. Yeah. You call yourself a kinesthetic storyteller. What does that phrase mean to you, and how has storytelling evolved as both as an artistic and therapeutic practice in your life? You've touched upon moments of that, but what even made you don yourself that?
I think initially, and I guess more centrally, is the invitation I always have to connect to myself. Even when I have a strong sense of dissonance and avoidance of not wanting to, there is the reality that your stories, your expression, your experiences are still going to come through. And so connecting that to the stories that we hold and the stories that we tell, right? I think being a movement psychotherapist, there is a kinesthetic nature and relational nature to this work that is really, really important. You have to observe, you have to witness, and there's this celebration of stories. And I'm not saying that all of this work is like, you know, peaches and cream and it's like, oh, this is a great story. There are some hard truths and hard stories that are within us, within our families, within our relationships, within our community, within our own history. And so kinesthetic storytelling is bringing that together. It is really moving from a place that is always centering relationship, is always centering community, and this desire and wish to elaborate home within and in connection to others. Yeah.
How are you able to, so this is a two-part question. So how are you able to hold that space and also detach from that energy? Because here, you just talked about having to hear sometimes harsh and traumatic stories. How do you not hold that and keep that in your body? But then also, what do you do when you feel disconnected from yourself and you still have to proceed with a project?
Ooh, so the first part I think is, wait, hold on. What's the first part you said?
How do you basically, I call it like energy cleanse.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because like I be absorbing all of the things from the audience and I'd be like, girl, this is not what I came here to do, you know? But sometimes we don't know what stories we're gonna be able to hold.
I have a joke with both friends, family, even clients. I tell them that at the end of the day, I'm an avid shower, like I love to shower, but at the end of the day, I have to wash off the day. Like quite literally, I have to wash off the day. Even if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, the next morning, I have to like physically wash off the day. And that is really anchored in the practice of release. Honestly, Amanda, I can't be and do the things that I do if I keep holding. I have to release and I have to compartmentalize. I have done it where I've held everything and that has failed. Like, right?
We've talked about this briefly about compartmentalizing because we be thinking we're gonna go back and unpack.
I've been overanalyzing and like holding, and the tension is just too much. So I like the visual of showering. Like I literally, if we leave this space now and I'm gonna go hop on the train, I'm gonna put my headphones on, and that's a practice of like, okay, play some music and just like decompress, don't regulate, right? I like the idea of ritual, and I feel like people can personalize that. I know folks may have different meanings to it, but for me, this idea of release and separation is as strict and intentional as a ritual. Like there are certain things I have to do to start my day to be able to engage and join, and then I have to do to separate and release, right? It's a practice. I'm an avid journaler, so that is something that like, when I'm noticing my anxiety is really, really present and the thoughts just cannot land, I always have a sheet of paper or my notes and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna park you right here. I may come back to you or not, but in this moment, I cannot hold you, right? And I think the second part of your question was around...
What do you do when you're not in a space? Because as somebody, when you said anxiety and depression, I resonate heavily with that. Social anxiety, anxiety in general. How are you able to still show up even when you're feeling those things?
I wish I would have like a pretty like tied up in a bow answer for you. I feel like that is something that I'm still navigating. I think it is something I'm a lot more transparent with others around what I'm navigating. And especially if I'm working with photography clients or even my therapeutic clients, I think it's a good model to know that like I'm a real person sitting across from you.
Yes.
Right? Yes, I am trained and I am a professional in these ways. Particularly when I'm doing a photography session, I'm very professional. I'm not gonna spill it over in that way. But where it's possible, I do think disclosure is important to like say, hey, actually, you know, can we start an hour later? If I am going through something with like mental health challenges, or you know, I'm just not physically feeling well, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I'm gonna say, hey, actually, like I'm wondering if we have a capacity to reschedule or such and such. Like I wanna be honest because I value your time. And I also value the meaning and experience of this for you. So I want to be my best so that you can also be your best and we can like collaborate together. With my therapeutic clients, I think it's also sometimes important, and it's very important to kind of leverage this pseudo power dynamic or analysis of like, well, you're the therapist, so you're a peer. Nope, we are co-journeying. I tell my clients, we are co-journeying together, right? And we are real people doing, you know, meeting at this point. So I oftentimes get feedback from folks of like, I really appreciate that you named that, because there's certain expectations that we have of like, I must show up and I must always do. And I'm like, I don't think that's fair to you. If I really cannot even be present to hear you, I don't think ethically that's a good thing, but also like interpersonally, there's a level of like disregard there sometimes. So I'm very, very cautious of that. But then also it comes back to like, how am I pouring into myself? Not to fill up, but to actually sustain my practices. Because as I said, you know, we do 10 million different things. And so noticing and doing some inventory for myself to be like, all right, I'm doing way too much here. I am falling behind. And I don't like that feeling, because that can
Induce the more anxiety.
And stuff. So it's really catching myself and having people in your life that can lovingly and critically and consciously like hold you accountable.
There was one thing you said earlier where you were like, I have really beautiful friends and family that hold me, that I can call and just vent to. I think it's important to all artists out there who are watching this episode. You know, I've had to evaluate who's in my circle. And sometimes as artists, we attract more artist friends, right? I feel like it's really important for us to have people that are also outside of what we do to kind of like remind us who we are at the core. Because sometimes you get lost in the artistic world of who we are and who are we becoming. But I think it's really important for us to be able to reach out to a friend who's completely not even an artist at all and is like, listen, can you just remind me to see myself outside of myself, but also to call myself back. You know, I think that's really important. So what is one visual? Because we talked about, you know, owning the stories that were being told, right? And like your ritual is through showering, which I absolutely love. And like releasing through water. Because it
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a water baby.
Listen.
So when you said that,
I need to, even if it's the dirtiest water, you know, not for me to show, I'm just saying to like observe and
to be clear.
To be clear. Yeah.
Any body of water. So I love the fact that your ritual of cleansing and releasing that energy is through water and showers. What is one visual or storytelling moment in your career that has stayed with you and reminds you why you do this work?
You know what? I have two. So in 2020, I remember I said I'm self-taught. I am literally like figuring out lights and playing around. One of my dear friends, I photographed her in 2020. And mind you, if anybody can remember back then, it wasn't that long ago.
COVID and the pandemic.
Right. Once we were able to kind of socialize a little bit more, what allowed me to survive that year was actually staying creative and like leaning into these like one-on-one shoots with folks. And one of my dear friends, Rowan, shout out to Rowan, came over and we were doing a shoot and it was a last look. And I had this really like oversized orange like winter jacket piece. And this is like summertime, so it's hot. And it was the first time, like aesthetically, I felt like I was capturing, and I have other sessions or visuals that I've created have anchored me, but this one was like, you know, when you feel like, oh my God, I'm a photographer. Like it literally was, and this is before even editing, just like taking the photo, looking at it on my camera and seeing her. We had talked about her journey, we talked about so many things of collaboration, how we want to collaborate for the shoot. But I was like, wow, Steph, you photographed that. Holding her story, holding her experience, and having fun, because it was like the last look, like let's just play around, let's see what this jacket can do. And there was just a softness. Her skin was beautifully melanated, it was shining. And I was like, you know, this work has always centered Black and brown bodies and stories. And it felt like I could see her joy, I could see her jovialness, I could see our experience in the session. And it's actually one of the photos that I use for my business card right now because I just love it. Like I love, anytime I see any of the series, the photos from that series, I remember the experience and how it was one of the first times I was really like claiming this title of photographer. Again, like not holding any shame of being self-taught or like, you know, just like I am a photographer.
Yes, you are.
And I think more intimately, part of the series, another black and white series that I did was Water Woman. So that was from 2021 when I went home after the pandemic. And one of my another girlfriend of mine, she was in ceremony and said, you know, hey, I was like, would you be open to me photographing you? Like, let me know, you know, I want to be respectful of your process. And my friend is my age, but when I see the photos, I think of like what it means to be a Caribbean woman by the sea, not in a stereotypical way, but like the strength, the complexity of who we are in a photo series, right? Just the ways in which as someone who doesn't live in Jamaica anymore, but still, you know, desires and calls Jamaica home, it brings me back to home. Like I know that woman. I've seen her many times over in my life, right? And so those two, specifically a black woman who have Caribbean heritage, feel very anchoring for me in terms of visuals. I mean, there's other like photographers' works that I study that I love, but in terms of things that I've created from my hands, those two series, yeah.
How do you, and this is it's like I just read this question and was like, it's almost kind of hard to answer, but let's see what you come up with. How do you measure impact? Emotionally, artistically, and or communally?
That's a really good question.
As an artist, I'm like, how do you measure impact?
I think more initially my response to that is just reflecting on my own growth, being able to receive praise and feedback. Not that I was ever rejecting, especially feedback, I love it, but to be able to hear people when they're like, boy, Steph, this is beautiful. I think at this stage in my life, I have a lot of folks who are actively like telling me about how they experience my work, and that feels like a gift and feels like an extension and measure of it. I wouldn't say impact is, you know, how many jobs I get or anything like that.
Right.
What I use as a measure is like the repeat clients or the clients who come back and say, hey, or new clients who are like, I saw or I experienced your work here and I would love to collaborate in this way. Because there's a connection and intention, not just to work with me. I mean, I think I'm okay, but like, you know, they're larger artists in the state, in Boston, but there's an intention about like the experience of my work first. That feels like a great measure for impact. I mean, there's stuff like social media too, which is there and it has its place. But I think the more meaningful, like spaces that I can assess that is the clients that are individuals or people in community. And I think also the projects that I do, it invites for feedback, right? It invites for conversation, and through that, I'm like, oh, okay, this impacted you, or there is an assumption based on how they're physically responding to the work.
And the vulnerability, I assume, because now you got people coming up to you just basically regurgitating everything that they feel in their spirit, which has to be, sometimes it could be too much, I assume. At the same time, I think that that's also a blessing, and that's the impact too, is that they feel comfortable without even feeling comfortable yet.
And also to add to that too, it's what they're sharing, Amanda. It's not just praise, it's like, this brought me to this moment of da-da-da-da, or it's made me think about, like, things that I think having folks be reflective in a way that maybe our society doesn't really encourage and doesn't celebrate, and I think we should, like, celebrate folks being able to, you know how hard it is to tap into your feelings? Like, it's not an easy thing. And then you have folks who are like, I don't know if I'm making sense, and so I always encourage people to speak in draft.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be it doesn't even have to make a point, it doesn't have to be a question. But if there's something that's coming up, instead of keeping it in, you know, check the room, but also like share it.
Yeah. I like that. Speak in draft.
Yes, speak in draft.
Because sometimes we don't have, like, you discuss this too, so you can totally relate to that, where sometimes you just don't have the language.
But you feel something.
Right. So you gotta vocalize that in any which way. I think sometimes another societal conditioning is that we have to articulate in the best ways possible when we're emoting, and it's almost sometimes impossible depending upon the emotion that we're trying to convey. It's like, how do you put words to a feeling?
Also, English may not be your first language or your preferred language.
That too.
Speak and communicate in whatever ways feel comfortable. We'll adjust.
That too.
We'll figure it out.
We shall, and we're gonna sit here until we do. I want to go back before I go forward again. The reason why I asked you, you know, what is your ritual like as far as like getting that energy off of you and removing the challenging stories and the traumatic stories that you hear? Because I know you were going through some things when you were shooting for BAMS Fest 2025, which is this your second or third year doing so? Second year. First of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And we talk about impact, right? So being invited again to do it, clearly you made an impact at BAMS Fest. But I know, me personally, because we talk, I know you were going through some things before that moment. How challenging was that for you to be in a space, to give some context for those who don't know what BAMS Fest are out there, is the biggest blacketiest black festival that you can ever attend here in Boston. So there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of movement. People are coming in and out, and then also people are coming to see you. How did you navigate that moment?
First of all, we had a second year of an amazing installation, the People's Living Room, which is just what it sounds like, a place for y'all to come and kick it, you know, take photos, relax.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
What was the other person who was assisting you? Beautiful.
Jasmine.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Jasmine.
Yo, I loved her energy.
She's also a dance movement therapist as well.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. So this makes sense. It's so funny how you could be in Boston and think you know everybody, but you don't know anybody.
You don't.
Because I met her for the first time there, and her energy was so infectious.
She's beautiful.
She's gorgeous inside and out, for sure. And I was so sad because by the time we got to the set, the installation, you all were taking it down to leave. But she was so sweet because she was like, no, we can still take photos. Like,
Yep,
we
yep.
can't do the interview per se, but like, take a photo in the chair,
Yeah.
sis, and then
Listen.
mind you, she's packing up
Yep.
the stuff and still unpacked it
Because
and put it
the
back.
stories are still important, and also the experience, right? The experience of just decompressing in what could remind you of your family living room or your grandmother's house or your cousin's house, or that was a vibe.
She was a
Yeah.
vibe. She just put the plants back up, and I was like, girl.
Because you know what? Doesn't that happen when you go to someone's, even if it's just a cup of water they have to offer you, they're gonna offer you something, right?
Absolutely.
That is the energy. That is literally the energy of like, it don't matter if you go, we're wrapping up, but what do you need? How can we hold space for you even in this moment?
And
So,
I'm so glad, shout out to Jasmine, because she held space for me,
Yeah.
Shannon, and Kareem. I was like, if this were me, I don't know how I would feel, because it's also hot. I'm like, girl, I'm trying to go home.
Yep.
But I did not feel any of that
Yeah.
rushed or come on with it, Cletus energy from her
Yeah.
at all. So for you, and knowing everything that you were going through, which I'm not asking you to divulge what you were going through, how challenging was that for you to be at BAMS Fest for the second year and be in such a personal space of going through it?
yeah, I feel like it's life. It's like always having to juggle like the frequency of life and the joys of life at the same time. Like I had an amazing time. It was nice this year to have like more permanent furniture and like collaborate with shout out to Emily from Hazen Hill with the flowers, and it also, navigating life. And I think what helped me was be able to lean into my community. Like I would not have been able to do it if I wasn't like transparent enough with folks to be like, I need help. Like I need y'all to show up. Like this is what I need in this way. And I think that's, whether it's in a situation like that or like on a smaller scale, you need to really like have, or I find it important to have people who will be able to pull up and you don't even have to explain. They just know, all right, what do you need, Steph? All right, cool. Let's help in this way. So it's one of those things where for me it feels like reality more so than a situation, like a separate situation. It's always juggling. It's always trying to navigate. It's always trying to find balance in that, to be present. Because I can tell you, once 11:30 hit and we were all ready, here we are. Like it wasn't a put on. It's not a show. It's all right. We got this over here, but we have to focus on like the experience for folks coming in, because especially at BAMS Fest, that's such a central, at least I experienced it as like a central place of joy.
Absolutely.
Specifically for Black and brown bodies in
Liberation.
the city. Liberation. And so we are deserving of spaces that, like the People's Living Room, for example, that allow you to like decompress. There's a lot that's going on. There's a lot of offerings. But you can come in, you can relax. I think we're stationed beside like the resource center. So you can be even more so resourced. Because when do we get to do that? Right? When do we, there's one of the features that we have in the People's Living Room is a phone, and you can leave a message for anyone. It could be an ancestor, it could be someone earthside, the storytellers and oral historians in your life, like just really bigging them up, really thinking of them. You are having joy, experiencing joy, and it may remind you of someone who's dead or alive. And so like if you could have a conversation, if you could hang out with them in the People's Living Room, what would you say to them? Right? And so I'm always gonna be cultivating space for reflection and liberation in community, because I desire it so much. And so even if like on a personal level, if you're navigating grief, loss, all these things, I'm always gonna come back to joy because it recenters me. It's like my compass. So to be able to create and activate spaces where others can experience that and they can take what they need, like that's amazing. That's such a gift.
You just like made me like tear up low key, because just thinking about what that feels like to be in a space that is, a living room, and you can pick up the phone and call somebody, like you said, is either an ancestor or on Earth's side. It immediately made me think of just, the folks who have transitioned on, and like, what would you say in those conversations? And I just felt that energy. And you're right. It's hard for Black and brown people to feel jovial and feel free and liberated within our own bodies because societal pressures,
Yeah.
the state of our our political climate right now. I don't like to acknowledge this man as our president, so I don't say that. It's really difficult and it's very challenging. But I feel like BAMS Fest does provide a space where you can actually like breathe. I was reading this article yesterday, or maybe it was a statement from Tyler, the Creator, who was talking about most people do not dance because they're afraid of being filmed.
Yeah.
And like, when did we move away from a space of just like allowing ourselves to move to music? But we live in such a tech world of social media where we know that if it's filmed, like we said about your work, it's digitally archived forever. It's not going nowhere on Beyonce's internet. You could just, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I feel like these moments of being in the space, and the living room was absolutely gorgeous. Like, I would love to describe that for the viewers at home, but you just need to come to BAMS Fest next year because I'm sure Steph will be there next year as well. But even like the tapestry that you put up, the flowers, the leaves, the plants, even the comfortable furniture that was around, like the chairs, it really did feel like you were entering somebody's living room.
Yeah.
It did not feel like it was outside in a tent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it really felt like the space. And what I loved the most, you're fine. What I loved the most is the energy. It's almost like you entered a portal.
Yeah.
Like, you're outside 1 minute and then you just enter this portal and you just feel the love.
Honestly, Amanda, I think the first year, I mean, I originally did it on the steps of Downtown Crossing in 2022. It was more of a photography, like living room setting setup, but it's not surprising to me, but at the time it was, of like how open and vulnerable, like people are ready to explore their stories, right? And so this time around, I, had my friend Jasmine, who's also a therapist, also be an interviewer, because there's so much that comes up. Right. And I never ever want someone to come into the space and like something comes up and they're like, well, I'm just going to go enjoy the concert. It's like, let's actually have care and actually resources for folks. And as I'm growing it, like, that's something that I think it will naturally happen. But there is intention there. Right. Because even going back to my exhibition, like, some folks came in and they were like, wow, this is really bringing up some hard stuff for me. And so we'd have, try to engage and have conversation and also give them some resources beyond this experience, because a lot of times we go into spaces and a lot comes up and then we're like, okay, well, have a good day.
Yeah.
And
see you
like,
later. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed. And it's like, wow, where do I go with this? So shout out to Catherine, because I was like, I want to make sure that, I am licensed, I'm a therapist, but I also want to make sure that the folks we're interviewing are either like journalists or folks who have an understanding of this being trauma informed, right? And there's a sensitivity around it that I think kind of shifts the generational patterns, because we are really meeting it with care, and everybody's going to have a different experience, as they should. But I think that's also something that, coming back to my practice, my photography practice, there is a level that has to be trauma informed. And will I always get it right? No, but the intention is that folks are leaving feeling more whole than, like pieces of them are falling apart.
It's literally individual and group therapy utilizing art. Like, it really is. Yeah. It's an experience for real. And I think, for everybody who's watching at home, I feel like that's what's so impactful about your work, because you're not just taking a photo. You know what I mean? This is like you're transporting your story through the lens. Yeah. And not only that, but you have proof. Yeah. It exists. Yeah. So now it makes it even more tangible and more real to the person who's the muse in the space. And we're allowed to unpack and debrief and then be able to breathe in that, which is such a beautiful feeling. It is therapeutic.
Yeah. It is. The intention is for it to really feel filling for you. And I'll also say, with the other side of it is, because I'm always taking photos of folks or interviewing or, capturing their stories. I challenged myself with my exhibition. A part of it was like showcasing my grandfather's work. This was in April of this year. The other part of it is that I was like, I'm going to challenge myself to be photographed. Because I can't be over here asking you to document your life and I'm not documenting mine.
And I'm so glad that this exhibit, that was the one thing that stood out to me the most, because I was waiting for you to step into that space.
I sure did.
Because I was like, we can't be hypocrites, sis.
Yes.
Like if we are artists, we gotta be the muse too sometimes. And your story is just as important as the work that you are showcasing. Like it just is. So I'm so happy that you revealed this part of yourself.
It was not comfortable, but
no, it's not. It's not. But we're here.
No, for real though. There was a sense of liberation from it, but it was hard to see myself in front of the camera. And then again, this kind of continued letter with our conversation with my grandfather and through his work. I was like, there was 2 looks that I did, and one was literally a physical response to, a visual response to this idea of the Caribbean woman. And then the other was me really standing in my power. And I think I'm really good at allowing others to, you know, feel embellished and supported in front of the lens. But it wasn't something that I was doing for myself, you know, so.
And those are my favorite photos. Like, no shade, no tea, but the ones of you. Absolutely breathtaking. I was like, girl.
Listen, we trying out here.
No, you're not trying. You're not trying. You are doing. I have one more question, because I could literally talk to you forever.
Same.
What do I want to ask? Forget the questions. First and foremost, just thank you so much for being here and sharing this piece of you. I feel like not only do I know a little bit more about you, but I think that the community at large and anybody who's watching this gets to have a real sense of like who you are, where you come from, and what's important. I also believe that there's so many other projects that are coming from you. The Diane project, like I said, was where I first recognized your work and was like, ooh, this is great. The black and white. The use of like grayscale. The ways in which I think some of my favorite photos from that project are from Ronnie. Oh my God, absolutely gorgeous. Who's also a dancer, and is just like 7 feet tall. Like, so just how he elongates his body was just really, really beautiful. Birth looms, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. To be able to show that side of Black and brown women, and also understanding how dangerous it can be to even carry a child to terms. We are the most affected as Black and brown women who face fatalities while giving childbirth. I think that's a conversation that's not so widespread and mainstream, and it should be. I think what really allowed me to indulge in that work for you when I saw that was the work of a doula, and how this was something that was rooted in our traditions. You know, I hear stories all the time from some of my folks who are not from the States that are like, yeah, my mama had me under a tree, child. And like that being such a normal thing. Even hearing stories of women having their births in the water, in the ocean, and even how mammals like dolphins, how that's banned, how you cannot even have like mammals swim up to you, especially dolphins, for some reason that they made that illegal, which is something that we'll deep dive, I'm sure, in some other conversation. But I thought that that was so poignant for you to bring up, and also be able to digitally archive. And then this last exhibit in April, I physically was trying to get out there several times, as you know. I was like, girl, what are the showings? Can I just come? Can I just come? But I saw like the reception of it, and you know what people were saying after it, and I saw pictures of it, and I was like, this is actually gorgeous, because this is about her and her family. This isn't about moms having kids. This isn't about, you know, making sure that other people are seen in their storytelling. I think another photo that I loved was from Perpetual Anastasia.
Shout out to Pep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Jija, the photos of Jija were absolutely incredible. The ways in which you're able to elevate and amplify these people is such a beautiful gift.
It's, first of all, I received that.
I love you for real, for real. Like,
No,
I love you for real,
Armando, I also share adoration for the ways in which you show up and use your voice. And we've had conversations of your journey, the ways in which you are so immersed in community, and your work and your words always have us journeying with you. Like, for real.
Thank you for that.
So,
listen, we're a mirror right now.
we go together.
We go together real bad, real bad. How do you hope to be remembered through your work? What is your legacy for Stefanie Belnavis? Where do you want to land?
I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to land. I think what I want folks to continue to experience or think of when they think of my work or come across it is the feelings that it makes them feel, feelings that it makes them feel.
The emotions.
And also the forever open invitation to document your life and celebrate your inner storyteller. Like, for real, I see the power. I see the shifts in how people show up in their lives when they feel more anchored in who they are and take full accountability and ownership for the entirety of that. And again, I'm not just, pushing for the niceties and the comfortable expressions, but also the harder parts of who they are and the relationships that pour into that for them.
If I were struggling with where to start, what advice could you give folks to just start that journey? Because you did name that you journal, which I think is super important.
It is.
That's one of the ways that they could do it. But for you, from your mouth to their ears, what would you say?
The creative arts therapist in me is always like, starting with how did you get to this actual moment? And whatever your response is to that, I'm not saying that you have to do a whole timeline, but just thinking from like a thought dumping space, how did you land here? How did you arrive to this physical space of awareness? Incorporating writing, incorporating songs. If you could create a playlist for your life, right? Because I'm such a music head.
Same.
Like, how could you incorporate music with that? What are some people in your life that really feel important to your journey for whatever reasons? Write it down. If you can have a conversation with them, have a conversation with them. In terms of archiving, I love a good voice note. I love a good video, and I'm always going to encourage people to get a camera. You don't have to have an expensive digital camera. Go to the CVS, get a digital camera, a disposable camera, and see your world through that. Lend your disposable camera to someone in your life. Have them take a few photos.
Ooh.
And see what you have at the end. Also, we got to bring back photo albums.
Yes.
Please. Can we please bring back photo albums?
Please and thank you. Expeditiously.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And as somebody, that's kind of like full circle, because as somebody who you said that you are the youngest, you don't have that many baby pictures of yourself.
Yeah.
What would it look like to go back into your grandfather's film camera and develop some of those photos and put them into an album?
I think that's the other part of it too, is that if you have access, I guess also the reality of doing this work is that it's a luxury to have that, right? Not everybody does. But if you do, revisit those photos. Also, date them. Like, if you have a recollection, like, write the name and date on the back of it, or if you do a photo album, write it down. So you're actually starting to archive your life. Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much. Again.
Thank you.
Steph, I love you, I love you, I love you.
You too.
And that concludes our episode here with Stefanie Belnavis on Narratives in Black. Tune in to season 2 for more future episodes, and tap that subscribe button. We'll see you soon. I'm your host, Amanda Shea, and this was Narratives in Black.